I've had some people ask how they could track guns that are going out throughout the day using our point of sale system. And we had some people talking about this on Facebook, so I thought I'd make a quick video to show you one way that this could be done quite easily. The first thing you want to do, whether or not you're using our point of sale system, doesn't matter. So you can do this even if you're not using it and use it just for gun tracking, or you can do it even if you are. So for example, here, if I go to POS and I do a new invoice, we have a play category already, and maybe you have a play category and a rental category and lots of categories if you're using the point of sale system. But even if you're not, you can go in and create a new category. So we're going to go into the category here and we're going to add a new one. We already have the play category. We're going to add the gun category. So let's just create that. As soon as you've created the gun category, you can go in and start creating the items that are going to go in that category. So for example, we're going to just call ours G1 for gun 1 and G2 for gun 2. If you already have numbers stamped on them, you can use whatever numbers you already have. So we're going to say the cost is 0, the price is 0, and it's not taxable. We'll leave it at the default color and we're going to save that item as G1. Now we're going to go in and we will create a G2 item as well with a 0 cost and a 0 price. And we're going to save that item. It goes in the gun category. Make sure you put them in the proper category here. Let's add another one and we'll do this a few more times. So we're going to add gun 3 in the gun category with a cost of 0, a price of 0. We're going to save that item and let's add a new one and we're going to do a G4 with a gun that has a cost of 0, a price of 0, etc. Now maybe gun 5 is missing from your inventory and you're not going to be, if you've already stamped numbers on them or marked them, however you do, so we can skip that one because that's not in service anymore. So we're going to go straight to, let's say, gun 7. And so that's going to be a gun. We've skipped a few in between because they got broken for whatever reason. So now we have a gun 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. Those are the guns that we have in inventory. Obviously, you may have 200 guns, and that's going to make for some more buttons, but it's not hard to deal with even if you have that many. So now let's take a look at how this is going to work in reality. So we're sitting here on today, and we have one group booked in today. They said they were bringing 12 people, but they only ended up with 3 people doing waivers. So 3 out of the 12 people doing waivers. So Larry walks in. He says, "Yeah, he's here with Bob's Gun Thieves." And that's the name of their group. Clever. So we want to ring them in, and we can do an invoice for them. So this can be independent of the whole gun thing. So we can say, yeah, they're playing and they're paying I don't know, $2 a piece to play or whatever you want to say, and they're bringing in instead of one person, they're bringing in 12. We're going to make them pay for all 12, even though only 3 showed up, whatever the case is. We can have them pay for this, or we can leave it as an open invoice. So if we go back to the dashboard now, we can see we have an open invoice for Bob's Gun Thieves for $25.20. But we want to deal with the guns. Now, if we're assigning them all to that group, we could do that very easily by just adding them. But let's look at if we want to add them to the individuals. So I can take a look at the individual waivers here. So here is the cat burglar. And he's one of the guys that's doing, we've already checked him in, so you can check him into today. And as soon as you're done checking him in, you can create an invoice for him. And when I create the invoice, I go to guns, and here's all the different guns we have. Now, if you had 200 guns, it would be a long list. But the nice thing is in the search, if I just put in G4, it will automatically pop straight to that one anyway. So you can just hit G4 and it will find it. Actually, it's ideal if you have 3 characters instead of just 2. So maybe label them GO1, GO2, GO3, etc. Because then the searches work better. So anyhow, he has gun G4. So now we're just going to go back to the dashboard. So we can see we have an open invoice for cat burglar here, and that means he has a gun outstanding. All right, let's go back to the registration, or we'll go to the waivers for today. And we have a walk-up player here. He's not even with that group. Here's Larry Daig. We have him checked in for today. We create an invoice for him, and we're going to give him gun number 7. So he has gun number 7. We go back to our dashboard, and we can see Larry Daig has a gun, Cat Burglar has a gun. Let's go back to our waivers for today. We're going to take a look at Bob's Gun Thieves group, this Doug Johnson guy. So there's him. We want to check him in today. So now he's got a check mark too. The Billy the Kid we already checked in. He's not using a gun, but we're going to create an invoice for Doug Johnson here. Let's create an invoice for him. And he is going to get gun number 3 that we hand out to him. Now we go to our dashboard and we can see who has guns outstanding, plus we can see who has an open invoice. So now the end of the day rolls around, these people start coming up and they're handing back their guns. The guy gives me the gun and I say, "What's your name?" He says, "My name's Larry." So I pop it up and I go, "Yeah, you got gun number 7. Excellent." So then I just mark it paid and finish. When I do, you'll see if I go back to my dashboard that Larry is no longer there. It shows that he's turned in his gun. Cat Burglar comes walking on in. He says, "I have G4. Okay, let's have you pay for that and finish." And so now when we go to our dashboard, we see that only one gun is outstanding. Bob's Gun Thieves needs to pay their tab. How are you going to pay for that? We're going to give you cash for $25.20. Great. Do you want a receipt? And we can email it to him or print it off if we want, either way. So we get him the receipt. We look at the dashboard now. Doug Johnson never turned in his gun. We go looking around. What gun are we looking for? We're looking for G3. Did G3 make it back to the rack? No, it didn't. Let's call up Doug Johnson. He's like, "Oops, it accidentally ended up in my car. I'll bring it back." He does. You click on Doug Johnson there. You can see it's gun 3. He got that thing. All right. So now he brings it back. We say we want to pay for this thing. It's finished. And then we go back to our dashboard. We see there are no open invoices. There are no guns outstanding. Now I can go to a report for the day and it'll even tell me G3 was rented once, G4 was rented once, G7 was rented once. If something happens, let's just take a look at this. We can go in and we can do another POS. Let's go to the waivers again and let's suppose Larry comes back and he's going to rent another gun. And the gun that he is going to rent this time, G7, is back on our rack, so we rent him that one again. And then we leave it as an open invoice for the time being. He comes back an hour or two later and returns it. We mark it paid. We finish for the day. And now we can go to our dashboard. We see there's no outstanding guns. We look at our report for the day and we can see that G7 was rented twice, G4 was rented once, G3 was rented once. 12 people played. The rest of them must have had their own guns. All right. We can look at our category report for any given period and it tells us how many guns, how many times these guns were rented. Now, if we did this over a period of time, you could see for the last 6 months, gun 7 was rented 48 times or whatever you want. So even if you want to use this to track every time a gun hits 100 mark, we want to do a rebuild on it or a service, whatever, you could do that as well by just tracking it with the point of sale system, even if you don't charge for it. Now, if you're charging for the guns, it's even easier. You could sit there when you're ringing somebody up. Let's do a waiver. And then from the waivers, we're taking a look at the waiver. We're going to create an invoice for this Larry. So let's do this one more time. And then we go to the gun and we say we're giving them gun 2. And if it's not included in a package, we can click on this and say the price of renting this thing is going to be $10. And we update that. So now, if we don't pay for it yet, we have an open invoice for Larry for $10, but it's for the gun. Then when he's done, we have him pay for it. He's paying cash for it. We hit finish. And when we look at the end of the day, no open invoices. We look at the closed invoices. There's all our closed invoices. And we look at our reports. And now we can see that gun 7 was rented twice, gun 4 was rented once, gun 3, gun 2, etc. We can look at our category report and it tells us how much revenue we brought in from gun rentals was $10. The rest of them were free. They were included in packages or however you set it up. So that's an easy way to track your guns with a point of sale. If you have any questions or problems setting it up, feel free to give me a shout.